and I'm an advocate for people with student loan debt, but that's quite different. And so but the outreach is important. And so what I've done is every time I write about it, I always put the National Suicide Hotline on every piece. I don't do images that trigger. And I have to admit, there was one way back 2 years ago that I did. It was a painting. It's an impressionist painting. But I realized that that's just not healthy. I mean, you have to be really careful as a journalist when you're writing about this. So I always have just the numbers for suicide prevention. And what's terrible, though, is, I mean, just last week I got this comment on my blog, because I moderate them. And this person was admitting that they had just been sitting in their car in their garage.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And they said, but then I thought about my poor spouse.
The other thing that killed me about this is we've got student debt just hit the $1 trillion mark. It's now more than credit card debt.
Right.
Why isn't this suicide angle getting more attention?
Well, I mean, I think and when it comes to journalism, it's people want to have the statistics on it. And right now, I think with the CDC, the most recent in terms of just general suicides across the country and how they break it down, male, female, et cetera, ages, is, I think the most recent is 2008, if memory serves me. We're 2012. I mean, granted, it takes time to collect the data.
Right.
But, and the suicide community is really sort of, I don't want to say defensive, but they worry too about getting away from sort of other causes. And because depression obviously is a huge factor. But when you think about it sociologically, even just the ideation, and not even going through with it, I think, is significant, because it shows the level of where, the emotional level where these people are.
Right.
And I think that's really important to talk about.
Exactly. Now, you've done quite a few interviews with the national media. Do they ask you about these issues? Do they ask you maybe to put them in touch with someone?
No.
Really?
There was one woman from a major outlet that did several years ago, but this again went back to needing statistics, because there are plenty. I think there would be people who'd be willing to share. I've found some of them who are willing to share, and I know that some of them by name, of course, because a lot of them come flooding in anonymously, and that might raise questions about, well, is it really, what about the validity of that? But I mean, when you read these posts, and I actually was interviewed on a local television show, I will have to say, in New York, when I was at Occupy New York, and I read these letters, these notes out loud, and these are really coming from the heart, and it's just, you feel this strange isolation and yet connection to the people,
right?
But I feel helpless.